Welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living Podcast. I'm your Thursday host, Emma. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about priorities and specifically how our priorities shape our fitness journey and our lives. Whether it's health, career, fitness, relationships, whatever it may be, what we prioritize can either push us that much closer to our goals or it can hold us back from our goals. For me, right now, the most relevant example that I can make in terms of my own priorities is when it comes to my nutrition. I've been seeing so much success recently, I would say within the last month and a half, maybe 2 months, when it comes to my physical results, when it comes to my strength in the gym, my confidence, just how my body is changing. And I directly relate that to how I'm prioritizing my nutrition. Now, nutrition is something that I have struggled with over and over again for many years and even up until recently. And some days, just like you, I still do struggle with my nutrition. And it's normal to struggle with your nutrition. It is the hardest part about your fitness journey, but there's things that you can do and things that you can prioritize to help minimize how difficult it is and how tough it can be. So when I think about priorities with myself in terms of my nutrition, the first thing right off the bat is protein. So prioritizing my protein and making that a non-negotiable. Like right now, my mindset with my nutrition is I am tracking my macros, which is something that I don't always do. Sometimes I just eat intuitively, and I have tracked macros for long periods of time in the past. So I do have a rough idea when I'm planning out my meals and those sorts of things of how much I am getting of each macronutrient when it comes to certain meals. Now, even when I am intuitively eating or not tracking macros, I do prioritize my protein and I do make sure to focus on my protein. And this is typically something that is sort of like one of those stepping stones when someone comes and starts working with me in my coaching program. To start by one of the first steps as sort of like that introduction to like macros and getting a bit more specific when it comes to tracking is really prioritizing and focusing on that protein number, because if you're looking to increase muscle, protein is going to be your best friend. If you're looking to decrease your body fat, protein is also going to be your best friend. You don't want to be not hitting your protein goal or giving yourself very little protein, because then that's when you start to look like you don't really have as much muscle or you kind of look a little flat and things like that. I know myself when I'm not prioritizing my protein, I can visibly see it in my body. I can tell by how my glutes look, how my shoulders look, how my back looks, and especially how my legs look. I just don't look quite as full or as toned or as muscular as I would like to look. I also notice if I'm not prioritizing my protein, like the appearance of cellulite can seem like it looks a little bit more, and it's just kind of that illusion where you're just not as full, your muscles aren't as full. Same thing with carbs. Like if you're not hitting your daily goals or if you're not eating enough food on a daily basis, that's why you're kind of looking and feeling that way. Like you have low energy or you feel a little sluggish, you feel a little flat. You kind of look at yourself in the mirror in the gym and you just don't really have that pump that you would normally have. That's related to food. And for so long, I was like training hard in the gym, but I wasn't fueling my body properly. Like I wasn't even sometimes eating out of maintenance calories. So I was trying to gain muscle and change my body recomposition, but I wasn't eating enough food to really fuel myself for those goals. And it's because it wasn't a priority. The gym was a priority in my life. It has been a priority in my life for quite some time. And that's something that I worked on over multiple years to make that a priority. It's not easy. People ask me all the time, like, how do you stay motivated and how do you stay so consistent? And it's because I make it a priority. The difference between me being able to go to the gym 5 days a week consistently for months and months and months and months and months on end versus you not being able to do it is because I do make it a priority. I wake up in the morning and after my morning routine and all that type of stuff, the first thing I do is go to the gym and get my workout in, because that's that time for me and for me to be my best for myself, for my clients, for my business, for my partner, for my family. I need to allow myself to have that time for me. And everybody needs to do that. It's just so many of you don't understand yet that you need to do that for yourself. And you don't really get it and you don't really rely on this and feel this until you start doing it. So from the outside looking in, it can seem like this big impossible thing, but trust me, when you start feeling it, it makes it so much easier to stick to, so much easier to prioritize, and you will start to shift and see how different things align. When I was in my early 20s, my priorities were way different than what they are now in my late 20s. In my early 20s, I just wanted to look good. I didn't care about what I was putting into my body. I didn't really care about what exercises I was doing. I didn't really care about long-term results. And I just wasn't really focused on those sorts of things. The gym was a priority for me. I would wake up and that was what I was thinking of doing. I would have it scheduled. It would be a non-negotiable for me. So that is something that has always been a priority for me. And I think I linked that back to sports because sports was the priority in my life. Going to practice, going to my games, doing my dry land, doing my off-season training, all those types of things were that priority in my life and kind of took over in a lot of senses. But when I was in my early 20s, my priorities were more so aligned with just looking good, going downtown, going out and drinking with my friends, hanging out on the weekends, doing wine nights, like going out for drinks, going out to dinners and all those types of things, buying clothes and all that sort of stuff, which at the time I get it. Like I understand you're kind of caught up in that cycle and we all do it. I've been there for sure. And it's so interesting now to see how those priorities have shifted because I no longer care about drinking on the weekend. I no longer care about buying new clothes. I no longer care about going downtown with my friends or going out for drinks with my friends or wanting to do wine nights or game nights or things like that every single week. Like those just are no longer my priorities anymore. And that's okay. Like I've matured, I've grown, and that's just not the type of lifestyle I want to live for myself or lead for myself or for the people that look up to me and follow me and that I influence on a daily basis. That's not the life that I live. And that's not the life that I want to be living. And it's okay that I was in that period of time before, but I think even more so now, it's important to realize like what those changes have been and what I started to prioritize now versus what my priorities were back then. A priority is something that you choose to give the most energy and attention to. So think about that. Think about on a weekly basis, like what are those things that you're choosing to spend your time on? What are those things that you're doing on a daily basis that you're choosing to spend your time on that maybe you could kind of tweak or change slightly to sort of steer you in a direction that is closer and more aligned with your goals. Because think about what you prioritize right now and if that is really helping you get closer to your goals or if that is something that is kind of hindering you or holding you back from actually achieving your goals. For me, like I said, I'm in my late 20s now, so my priorities have completely changed. My top priority right now is my health and well-being, and that means my physical health and my mental health. Without those things, I don't feel my best, I can't perform my best, and I just don't have as much to give to those around me. So if I'm not prioritizing my health and my well-being, I'm not able to prioritize and be the best version of me for those people around me, for my family, for my partner, for my business, for my clients, for all those people that depend on me on a daily basis. If I'm not prioritizing those things, then I'm not my best version. Similarly, I have a lot of clients that I work with that are mothers, and if they don't take that time, despite how busy their schedule is, how busy their day-to-day is, and just how much they have on the go, if they don't take that dedicated 30 minutes to an hour to themselves every single day, they start to feel it, it accumulates, and they start to become kind of not their best version and not the version of themselves they want to be for their family, for themselves, for their partner, for their work environment, and things like that. And it's tough to stick to, obviously, and it's sort of an easy thing to let slip. But I think a really good exercise and sort of check in with yourself is kind of sit down with yourself and write down a list of priorities. Okay, like what are my priorities when it comes to my physical health? What are my priorities when it comes to my mental health? What are my priorities when it comes to my family, to my work, to my relationships, and things like that? And really sit down and look at that and see if that aligns with what your overall goal is. Like if you're looking to become more fit or become healthier or develop better habits and better routines that serve you better, but you're not making that a priority, you're still maybe you feel like you can't do it because of financials, but then you're still spending money on going out with your friends on the weekends or bottles of wine or going to all these different things and spending money on clothes and all this sort of stuff when that's not going to make you happy. That's not going to make you happy long term. And you need to look at what those priorities are, because if your priorities were actually in the right space and you did actually want to achieve those goals and feel better about yourself and be that best version of yourself, you wouldn't be doing those things that are kind of taking away from that overall goal and taking away from your progress of doing those things. And I think a lot of people get it twisted sometimes too. Like, I have so many conversations with women literally every single day that are at their breaking point. Like, literally, I have women messaging me, Emma, I'm at my breaking point. I can't take this anymore. I need to do something for me. I just need to join your program. Like, I have to do it today. And then it comes down to doing it and they're like, oh, I can't afford it, or I don't think I actually have the time, or no, I'll start it next month. I'm just a little bit busy right now, like maybe next month. And then they never do it. Like, I know exactly, as soon as someone says something like that to me, I can tell 9 times out of 10, it's a lie. You've told me a lie. You've told yourself a lie, just like you've done over and over and over again. And I've been there too. Like, I've been in that situation where I say I'm going to start Monday. I say that I'm at my breaking point and I need to make a change, but then I don't do it. Maybe you take a small step that kind of validates you and makes you feel a little bit better. You reach out to a coach, or you sign up for the gym, or you go to a yoga class or a workout class, but then that's it. That's kind of where you stop. You kind of get that little false sense of validation, like, oh, okay, I did something for me. Like, that's a step in the right direction. But then you don't do anything else for the next 6 months, 8 months. And then you come back around and you wonder why you're still in the same position. Another year has passed. You're in the same position, if not worse, and you're that much farther from your goal. And it just comes down to your priorities. And this may sound harsh or blunt, but it's honestly the truth. Like, there is maybe 1 out of 10 people that I speak to that say that they can't afford it, that actually can't afford it. It comes down to priorities. It comes down to what you actually want to do, what sacrifices you want to make, because people get so caught up in what their life is and poor me, and this victim mentality of, I work such a stressful job. I'm a nurse. I have a baby. My husband's away all the time. I don't have any time for me, and all these sorts of things. But then they don't do anything to change it. They continue to buy food out multiple times a week. They continue to buy clothes to try to make themselves feel better, to try to kind of get that sort of validation that they are happy or they're confident in themselves. And they just don't ever take that step to prioritizing yourself and prioritizing your habits. And yes, you are a busy mom. Yes, you have so much on the go. Yes, you have all these different things, but that does not mean that you can't take 5 minutes for yourself every day, 20 minutes for yourself every day, half an hour for yourself every day. And of course, it seems like starting from zero. Yeah, if you start from zero, not doing anything, and then you think you're going to all of a sudden work out 5 days a week for an hour and a half, that's not going to seem realistic. But what you need to prioritize is making small changes every single day. So whether that's you don't do any sort of activity, or you don't do any sort of mindful movements or anything like that on a daily basis, start with 5 minutes a day. Move it up to 10 minutes a day the following week, and just slowly increase your priorities, and really look at what those things are that are serving you and that you're spending your energy and your attention on. Like, are they feeding your goal, or are they sucking energy from you? Because people say they don't have time all the time. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. I guarantee you, you spend so much time on your phone, doom scrolling on Facebook, doom scrolling on TikTok, doom scrolling on Instagram, when you could be going for a walk, when you could be prepping some meals, when you could be just moving your body, when you could be doing a journal routine, when you could be listening to a podcast that is going to help motivate you and open up your mind and help you focus on making a positive change for yourself. But instead, you just kind of stay in this same victim mentality, in the same sort of cycle and routine of just prioritizing things that aren't serving you. And it's really sad, honestly, to see, because I've been there. I've been in similar situations to so many women. I work with so many women who are in similar situations, if not worse situations than others that I speak to. And it's just really tough to see people selling themselves short and just really not putting the effort and not just owning up and committing to themselves and prioritizing themselves when it's not that difficult. It's not that many things that you need to do. And there's people in harder situations, there's people worse off that are doing more than you. And that may kind of sound a little bit harsh or maybe a little bit insensitive, but I think it's something a lot of women need to understand, because just dealing with women as a coach, I'll be honest, is one of the most frustrating things. Like, Trey works with a lot of men in his coaching business, and just the differences between the mindsets between men and women when it comes to this sort of stuff, when it comes to ownership, when it comes to taking accountability, when it comes to owning up and just prioritizing yourself, is night and day. Like, women are so quick to blame somebody else, blame me, make up excuses, play the victim card, when you don't need to do that. Like, when your situation isn't that bad, when there's one thing you can prioritize to kind of make that change, instead of just throwing it all out the window, giving up, or never starting because it seems like it's something that's so difficult or so hard, when all you need to do is kind of shift a couple of your priorities. Maybe instead of focusing on waiting for the weekend to go out and drink and hang out with your friends, maybe you shift that priority from focusing on that to focusing on cooking yourself a nice meal on the weekend. Maybe just enjoying one glass of wine instead of going out and binge drinking and trying to kind of escape your life that you're not really happy with. You just need to set better priorities for yourself. And that could be just mindful movement every day, 5 to 10 minutes, just trying to be more intentional. Try to get 10K steps a day. Be more intentional with your eating, because it all comes down to priorities. It all comes down to a choice. I know everyone's going to be like, I hate the whole, like, we all have the same 24 hours in the day, but we do. Like, there's 24 hours in the day. If your job is super hectic and long hours and you work 12-hour shifts or whatever it may be, your job is super, super busy. You chose to work that job. You chose to have that sort of lifestyle. And chances are you knew that it was going to be that sort of lifestyle when you chose to take that career path. So you also need to choose to have the same priorities, or choose to find the priorities that align with that sort of lifestyle, and the sacrifices and the priorities that you're going to have and make with that sort of lifestyle. Like, so many people sometimes are so set in this victim mentality of, oh my gosh, like, my job is so busy. I work 12 hours, like, it's 12-hour shifts. It's so hectic. I'm a nurse and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, yes, I understand you do have a hectic job. It's tough physically. It's tough mentally. It's long hours. You're on your feet, like, all these types of things. But you chose to go into this career. You knew that this was going to be a tough job physically, mentally, that it was going to be long hours, that you were going to be on your feet all the time, that it was going to be tough. So you knew that before you went into this career. But you still prioritized those things to get you to this lifestyle. Like, you made sacrifices to get you to the job that you're in now and the career that you're in now. And there were certain things that you needed to prioritize. So same thing goes with when you're in that lifestyle. Like, you need to make sacrifices and prioritize the things that are going to get you that much closer to your goal instead of holding you back. So I think this is a really good thing to think about is, are the things you're prioritizing, are they taking energy from you? Are they sucking energy from you? Or are the things that you're prioritizing getting you that much closer to your goal and getting you that much closer to the woman you want to be in your life, or the person that you want to be in your life? Because at the end of the day, it's a choice that you get to make. It's a choice where you spend your energy, where you spend your attention, and you have the power to make that choice. So take control, empower yourself, and take ownership over the fact that you have the chance to make that choice and you have that option for yourself. That's it for this Thursday episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living podcast. Thank you for tuning in, listening, and watching, and be sure to check out Trey's episodes every Monday, and I'll see you next Thursday. But you bet me in that corner.